All right. This is under the influence. Or at least that's what they tell me, Kensie. It took us like a day to get here, but we're here.
Oh my gosh, the technical difficulties this morning, you'd think it's a Monday.
Yeah, but it was kind of all you.
Oh, okay, it was at first, but it wasn't all me.
What do you mean at first? The whole issue was on your end.
I know, but then we had to restart because of something, I don't know.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
I'll take like 90% of the accountability.
So the other 10 is just, what, margin of error?
No, it's your fault. Whatever. Let's get started.
We just started. Can I tell you something really quick? And I don't
Yes.
know if this is going to resonate with you, but there's a phrase that I never want to hear ever again in my life.
Okay.
Low propensity.
What?
Low propensity.
What does that even mean?
Well, like, so, I'm home. I'm doing 100 things. I've been so productive, and we can talk about all that later. But, like, I'm always listening to the news in the background. And it's election season. The election is, like, days away. I know nobody wants to talk about it, but give me 3 seconds. And this cycle, the phrase is low propensity voter. Voters who don't normally vote. They have a low propensity for turning out. And maybe it's just because I'm listening to CNN, not MSNBC or Fox, and occasionally I'll turn those on, but I just let the Amazon Echo play the live feed, and I just listen to it like white noise because that's really all it is. And
right.
And also I kind of like the personalities on CNN, irrespective of the fact that I think it's all crap. I like some of the personalities a little bit more. But I like keeping up on what's going on. But if you listen too long to any of this stuff, so you just hear the phrase over and over and over again, low propensity. And I'm like, geez, did everybody get handed the same talking points? But I guess they did. That's why they're called talking points. I digress.
I mean, I Googled it, and that was the first thing that came up about the low propensity voters. So
I can't wait.
It sounds like it's just like the word of the month or just 2 words of the month. But yeah, that's really interesting.
I just want it to be
that, but.
Well, say whatever you want. I just want it to be over, and I have so many issues, and the problem, the thing that's giving me anxiety is not even so much the results, it's just the whole experience that we're about to go through. I mean, we're days away from who knows what. And I think for me, that's where my stress is. And if you don't care about this stuff, then it's not gonna matter for you. But irrespective of how it turns out, I think there's just going to be a lot of problems. So it's just sort of like you just feel like you're days away from like the countdown to I don't know what. So.
Right. I mean, and who knows? It by the time the results come in, it might flow into Wednesday. So I'm nervous really for the whole week. It's going to be unlike any other election we've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll do a streaming marathon. Maybe that'll be my big return.
Oh, gosh. Well, that sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Well, listen, it's part of the reason I keep avoiding going live right now is I just don't want to deal with it. And most people don't
everywhere.
Well, but most people don't have anything productive to say.
Right.
If you have something productive to say, I can tell you right now, there's one major issue that most people will not disagree with when I say it. And that is no matter what channel you turn on, no matter what website you open up during this election season, I'll use your percentages. 90% of the time, they are talking about anything but working class issues. They harp on the slightest thing. If somebody says something wrong and you know they said it wrong, on either side, and they just slipped and then they correct themselves, they don't care. They cut the clip out, they milk it, and they just browbeat it. And if you listen enough, you just realize that all they have, these cable news outlets, is about an hour's worth of material, and they just repeat it 23 more times a day.
Mm-hmm.
With different,
it's all about the editing.
Different nudniks. Oh, and that's it, man. I mean, you go to Twitter, I find Twitter to be so fascinating because it is faster than the traditional
It's a free
news
for
cycle.
all.
It is, but it's faster than the real news cycle. So it takes a minute for things to make it through the vetting process before it gets on air. Not on Twitter, like you said. So, yeah, but you got to filter through the cesspool. And then some days you're like, why am I up to my knees and you know what? Well, you chose it.
I'm losing brain cells.
Right, yeah. But, I mean, like, I'm also fascinated to hear what people say, even people that I don't agree with. Like, inherently, I still like to read what others have to say.
Yeah.
I don't like to keep myself in a bubble. But all that to say is we're just days away, and then I don't know. I'm thinking about doing a streaming marathon. We could talk about that later. But it's Saturday morning. We're late to the start because Kensie, would you get a new computer? What happened?
No, I literally didn't do anything different. Same headphones, same computer, but we figured it out.
Well, I did we though? Because we just switched devices. We just basically, you took the Western medicine solution. If you follow me.
I mean, it took a second, but I just ended up using my phone instead of my computer. I've had this Mac for it's my second computer. I have like a work computer, so I don't use this one that often,
But did we really address the issue, or did we just put a Band-Aid on it?
No, we did it. Yeah, we put a Band-Aid on it.
So we gave it a little Tylenol and told you'll feel better in 24 hours.
But nobody's going to know the difference.
That's
fine.
Western medicine. They don't actually get to this problem. They just mask it. They just mask the symptoms. Am I wrong?
Right. No, you're not wrong.
No, seriously. That's what Western medicine is. I mean, don't you work in healthcare?
Yeah, I do. Not on that side, but yeah.
Doesn't matter. You see it. They don't get at the root of the issue. By the way, that's our culture as a whole. We don't get to the root of the problem. We just put Band-Aids on everything.
Yeah.
We don't.
Make it till you make it.
We don't. Well, tell that to somebody with diabetes, right? Like we don't give ourselves healthier food to eat. We just tell you to take this diabetes medicine when you've eaten too much McDonald's.
Right.
Right. So we don't. And in this country, we don't even eat for nutrition. We eat for flavor. Right. Everything's flavor town. Flavor town.
No, you know what's funny? I had that realization when I was over in Europe. I had this like pita sandwich when Brian and I were out, and when I went to eat it, like it looked delicious when they were making it. It had the pita sandwich, it had the chicken, it had like feta, garlic sauce, like a bunch of veggies. It looked amazing. And then when I took a bite of it, I was like, this is so bland. And I looked at Brian and I said, is this bland because of like the ingredients, or is it because we put so much like crap in our food over here in the States? Like obviously we have an insane amount of sodium and everything, but like who else knows what's in our food? And I'm like, it's sad that I can't enjoy this right now because it's just like, it looked amazing, but it's just not on the same level.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would imagine after a few weeks of eating that stuff, you would start to pick up the flavors. I think part of it is you're like conditioned to be like, where's the sweet? We're all salt and sugar. We're all salt and sugar, Yeah. I mean, come on, look.
And MSG.
Oh my God. I love that you go to Panda Express and it says no MSG added. I'm like, thank God there's already enough in it. Who needs to add any? Stop. There's the whole. I mean, look at the flavors they have over there. It's like honey, walnut, chicken. I'm like, that stuff is covered in a glaze that belongs on like monkey bread or something.
Right.
And you're serving that with a side of broccoli, telling me it's a balanced meal. I do like Panda Express, but don't tell me there's no MSG added. It's in the food already.
I mean, people believe that. They're like, oh, it's healthy then.
Everything. I mean, look at this whole thing going on with Lunchables. And you know what Lunchly is? You don't know what Lunchly is. You have no clue.
No, I have no idea.
I know. See, I know what you don't know. Because I know where the line is now. Because last week, we established you have no clue what Carmen Sandiego is.
Well, I've heard of the song in the show, but never watched it.
You can never just take the L, huh?
I have to defend myself to some extent.
As you should. But
what is Lunchly though?
So Lunchly is you know what Lunchables are, obviously.
Of course.
So 3 of these influencers, and I'm going to name 3 of them, and I'm going to guess you've heard of one of them. You ready?
Yeah.
I don't even know the 3. Honestly, I think it's what is it, the one guy's name? It's like KSI, I think. Logan Paul and Mr. Beast.
I'm sorry if anybody likes them, but
no, nobody likes them. So the 3 of these idiots got to have a platform. For Mr. Beast has done stuff, but that's another conversation.
Yeah.
You know, but generally speaking, these 3 guys have these platforms for doing what I don't know, particularly the other guys. And but they're all problematic in their own right. But they got together because one of them has a energy drink. Okay. Prime. Look at you.
Yep.
And see, that's the one I knew you would know was
awful.
Paul. Right. You've heard of Mr. Beast. You don't know really. Is he human? I don't know. Anyway, so, and then this Mr. Beast guy has his chocolate bars, right? So they decided to team up the energy drink and the chocolate bars and create a Lunchable product. Mm. Okay. So it's just an idea is that it's healthier than Lunchables and we're going to sell this to kids. Well, it's not healthier. And every single bit of mold has been found in all of them. Like, it's a whole thing online. Like, bloggers and YouTubers are finding mold in the food. But all these guys did is cram a chocolate bar and an energy drink into a Lunchables alternative. I'm like, you have this whole platform and you're selling crap to kids. You could be doing something good. And you're selling more processed crap to kids. This is exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, geez. I'm looking at their website and, like, you know, they have their nutrition panel up there and everything. The thing that drives me crazy about all of these products that are coming out, like, this is why I can't stand Prime. And I know some people are okay with it. Like, honestly, especially like for diabetics, you know, you have to have like the fake sugar. I can't stand the taste of stevia. It drives me crazy.
Ugh.
It's like that lingering, like, fake toxic, like, chemical in my mouth that just, like, I can't stand it. And they pride on that. They're like, oh, it's low sugar. And I'm like, it's not low sugar. It's lower in real sugar, but then you got the fake stuff that your body can't digest properly. Like, and then, you know, obviously they have to pride on the fact that there's 11 grams of protein in here. Like, you know what I mean? They're about, like, the proteins, the electrolytes, and the low sugar.
Well, it's like they cherry pick what they want to talk about to make it sound better for you. But it's the same thing with diet soda. I saw a post like a couple weeks ago. I don't want to keep saying idiot because it makes me sound unintelligent, but some genius, on Twitter who fancies himself a theme park content creator. I think he's got like 3,000 followers on Twitter. I couldn't tell you his name if I wanted to. Okay. Mm-hmm. Took a picture that in the Paris Disney parks, they've got all diet sodas. And he goes, look, they're healthier over here because it's all diet options. And it's like, diet soda's not healthier for you. How uneducated.
Oh, no.
And you're a content creator. You're telling other people, somebody out there thinks you know what you're talking about. Diet soda's not healthier for you. It's toxic.
Right.
The phenylketonuria that is in there, people don't even know about that. The aspartame, all the crap that is in diet soda.
Yes.
What is it, Fen, Kensie?
I don't know. It's all terrible.
But if you look up diet soda, like the bad things in diet soda, I believe they're called phenylketonuria, okay? And basically it goes back to what you just said about sugar alternatives being more harder for your body to digest than actual sugar. So while it
Right.
may be better than sugar in principle because it's not sugar and sugar's bad for you, the fact that your body can't digest it, it becomes problematic.
Right.
Diet soda is cancerous. I mean, sugar's not good for you, but diet soda. Anyway, I digress. Look, I want to talk to Keena. She could wait a quick minute, but did you want to talk to, you had something you wanted to tell me?
I wanted to tell you what I was doing this morning because I meant to do it yesterday, but work got in the way and, all the other things. But this morning I woke up so jazzed and excited, and I decorated my house for Christmas.
I am not surprised.
I was so excited. I'm like a November 1st Christmas gal. I'm curious what other people do. I'm sure most people decorate after Christmas because a lot of times people think I'm crazy, which is fine. It brings me happiness. But the funny thing is that I'm going to a Halloween party tonight, so like I'm just like very conflicted right now. I'm happy in my house, but like now I don't want to go to a Halloween party.
Well, it's like going back in time.
Right.
We got to fix your phone signal. I think are you on the Wi-Fi or not?
No, I'm not.
You should add the Wi-Fi so that we get a better connection because you're choppy. If you can. We'll have to do a tech test outside of this. So to respond to that, I could not wait because especially doing the live streams from the park. Halloween started in August through the lens of Disney.
Right. Yeah.
I could not wait for Halloween to be over and to get to Christmas. And I don't know if it was Walmart or where I was. I walked in the other day and it was Christmas and I was like, it's too soon. So I was anticipating Christmas, and now my thought is it's too soon. But I'll come around quickly because I do enjoy Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, the wild thing is that it still feels like fall here. I mean, of course, it's November 2nd, but it's like an unusually warm fall here for Cincinnati. Like, the high today is going to be 63, but over the next 2 days, it's going to be in the mid-70s. And I'm like, this feels wrong to have my Christmas decorations out, but I'm going to try to manifest the season.
Hey, listen, whatever makes you happy. I saw Home Depot released a line of Star Wars animatronics for Christmas.
Okay.
So, and I know now that, because, I got a skeleton one for Halloween that I thought about putting out the other night, which, by the way, I didn't get any trick-or-treaters, not one. And
oh no!
Well, I have a motion light, so unless you walk up to the front door, the light's off at night.
Oh, I see.
So maybe they just, thought whatever. And I was going to give out video games because I just got so many. I was like, here you go, brand new video game. But nobody showed up.
Oh my gosh, they missed out.
They totally did. They were by the door. But I have this skeleton from the TikTok shop, and I know now how easily assembled, how easily manufactured these things are. Okay, they're very simplistic. So they're selling this $300 Darth Vader for Christmas.
I just saw it.
And I just took one look at the skeleton animatronic in my garage, and I said, this would be so easy to turn into Darth Vader, because I have like a chintzy old Darth Vader mask. I'm like, I could easily pop this one of my animatronic heads. And then I looked at how all the arms are hooked. So I actually started doing it. I went out and got a foam ball to retrofit on the head. I took the skeleton head off. I'm like, this whole thing is retail hooks, and I have everything in my garage. So I had retail hooks. So I was like, oh, look, these retail hooks fit in perfectly. So I started actually creating slowly, and maybe I'll make a video. Most people would make a video of everything. Me, I just want to tinker. So, so I started making what may wind up being a Christmas Darth Vader animatronic, because I saw the one at Home Depot, and I'm like, $300? I think I have everything but the costume to make that. So,
I mean, that's awesome. And hopefully it saves you a little bit of money, because $300.
Well, it's going to save me money either way, because I'm not buying a $300 Darth Vader animatronic, especially when I know when the picture looks great, but when you get it and you realize it's just some like chintzy metal retail hooks going up like the spine of, an umbrella stand, more or less. Like, it's very, when you really reduce it down, you're like, I understand why it's $300. Okay, the motor alone in there probably is like a $90 motor. Okay, but everything else is dirt cheap. So
did you see the Stormtrooper though? He's cool.
I know.
I'm not even a Star Wars fan, and I think he's cool.
I know. So good for you, but I'm all about it. It's a lot of fun. I know. We have Keena waiting in the wings. I'm going to bring her on here and see what sort of technical issues. I wanted to talk to Keena briefly about what she's been doing in North Carolina. I thought this would be a nice way, rather than just make some video and post it. This would be a nice way to talk to her directly. I have questions. Should we talk to her?
Absolutely. We should. I mean, she's been doing incredible things. I think everybody needs to hear about everything that's going on. And really, it's really cool to see what the channel's been doing to back up her efforts.
I wanted to see what happened if you said no.
No, she can't come in.
Keena.
We love Keena.
Why am I yelling like because she's in North Carolina? Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
This audio sounds a little low, but it's all right. We'll deal with it. How are you?
Okay. I'm good. How are y'all?
I'm good. Congratulations on what sounds like both an exhilarating but an emotional experience these last few weeks helping out your community.
Yes, it has been. And thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be able to say thank you to everybody in person, but not really in person.
Right. No, exactly. So just to back up, because I know the newsletter is coming out, and there's a little blurb in there, and there's a link if you want to continue to donate. We've done one big push. We didn't plan this, by the way. Keena, what is it, like 6:30 in the morning? You and I were texting. It was really that early, and I saw in the Discord, Kensie, she asked everyone for thoughts and prayers. So I immediately texted her and I said, "What are those going to do?"
Right.
And
yeah,
I know.
By noon that day, I think we had raised $2,000+.
Incredible.
Yep, it was. It was amazing.
So tell me, what have you? Tell me. I want to know a couple of the things that you've gotten, some of the more unique things that people wouldn't have expected that were needed, and then tell me about some of the folks you've met and give me a little bit about their story, because I think one of the things that was interesting to me talking to you about this is some folks at this point still, weeks later, don't even know what they need. And it's crazy to me that in this country, after a natural disaster like that we still have folks wandering around, searching for loved ones, pulling bodies off the side of the road, and just without a place to live. I mean, it's unconscionable. So just give me a little color, please.
It is. It's unreal. So the first weekend, we headed to one of the hardest hit areas, which was Swannanoa, North Carolina. A little river ran through it on any typical day, but when the storm hit, the river just grew and overtook everything in its path. So those people, now we've been back the past 2 weekends to keep going back there and check on things. And so now they're getting tents, they're getting campers brought in, and they're setting those up where their houses used to be. But it's been overwhelming, the generosity of this group. I mean, some of the things we've gotten that were really, really appreciated were pillows with pillowcases, and the pillowcases were waterproof. We chose waterproof ones because so many people are living in the tents, and, it's damp in a tent. So at least they have a dry place to lay their head at night, and they can also lay a baby on a pillow.
I'm sorry, how are people still living in tents? All these weeks later, you're going to tell me that somebody's not putting these people up in hotel rooms? I mean, how is there not a response?
There are some hotels in splotches. And there are some school gymnasiums that have been set up probably by the Red Cross, but I'm not 100% on that. So there are some places, but there are people who want to stay on their land because, from what I'm told, they're afraid to leave their land for
Right.
whatever reason. They want to stay there and keep their land. So, and I guess they're still going through the rubble. They're still trying to salvage things that they can use. So they don't want to be away from their spot. But the pillows were a big hit, so we're taking more of those this weekend. They have all the mittens and toboggans and things they can use. Another thing that I thought was really sad was that they're just getting pallets and pallets of baby formula, but they have no way to feed it. So we got about 150 baby bottles, and we're taking those. It's just a small chunk of what's needed, but it's going to help the babies that we met last weekend. So we're actually putting these items in the hands of these people. We're not just dropping these things off for somebody else to distribute. So last weekend was sort of a drive-through setup, which was really nice. Each tent in an old Rose's parking lot was a different type of tent. So they had a medical tent, they had a baby tent, they had a food tent. Me and my friend Crystal worked in the food tent. And so the people would just drive through, and we would go to their car and say, "What do you need?" And the biggest shocker for me was that so many people lost their cars. And so each vehicle that came through the line was full of 2 and 3 families represented, like a dad from this family and mom and the baby from another family. So they're just coming from the outlying areas that were hit hard from these neighborhoods, and they're just grabbing a ride with whoever they can grab a ride with. And so we were packing cars with bags and bags of groceries to hopefully satisfy a family, until the next week.
Now you've done this 3 weeks in a row?
Yeah. This will be the third week.
Have you seen any of the same people?
No, not yet. Mm-mm.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I would imagine there are people that don't even know that these setups are there where they can go and, I mean, how are people being informed that there are these relief centers where they can go and get goods distributed?
I think it's just word of mouth. Some people do have the ability to take a cell phone to a charging station. Some of these relief areas, they call them care centers. Some of these care centers have mobile showers, American Red Cross medical stuff. They have the Samaritan's Purse prayer vans. They have food booths set up with people cooking hot meals. And they have regular grocery booths set up. They just have the whole gamut. National Guard has been at a couple that we've been to. So they can go there and charge up and do pretty much these things that they need to do that they can't do back at their spot. So some people do have access to Facebook and can look on there. There's several groups that have been created on Facebook for different needs. So people can go on there and see what's available. But I think for the biggest part, it's word of mouth, and then they just catch a ride however they can and go to these places.
And what's it going to take? Let's talk about these folks that are, they're living in a tent on their own land. Their house has been decimated, right? I would imagine there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people experiencing this. Would that be fair to say? I mean, I don't know. I don't think you know the numbers, but I mean, it's endless. This isn't an anomaly. This is a common occurrence.
Yeah, our North Carolina mountains are much more wide and broad than people think.
So what's it going to take to get these folks from tents into homes? I understand the notion that people are afraid if they leave, their land is going to be taken from them. And historically in this country, that has been a thing, not in this scenario necessarily, at least not to my knowledge, but I understand, and I don't want to use the phrase paranoia, but I understand the paranoia. I don't know what else to call it, that you don't want to leave your land. But how do you get these folks out of a tent, and how do they get their houses back? How do they rebuild?
I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. It's too big for me to even think about. I mean, we've got people coming from out of state. We've got amazing, amazing people with the equipment and the manpower. And so they're getting there. They're coming. They've been there for a week or so now. But it's just huge. I don't know. I don't know how long. Like, I saw one post, which of course it's a post, so I don't know how accurate it is, but one section was talking about having their water back. Hopefully they're going to have their water back. Like, if they still have their house and they have a tap, when they turn on the tap, they'll get fresh water toward mid to the end of December.
All right. Well, you just said something that now gave me an opening. I was going to try to bite my tongue, but it's one post. And so,
oh Lord,
you don't, the problem I have is it doesn't matter where you look. Everything is just one perspective.
Yeah.
So you're out there on the roads. I'm going to ask you, I understand it's still anecdotal. All right. But your boots on the ground, and you're in it more than anyone else I know, which is why it was imperative to jump up and ask everybody in this community to help. I just want to know how much of a response you've seen on the ground from FEMA.
Well, I haven't seen any.
So you've been all over. I mean, you've driven hours.
Yes, I've mainly focused on Swannanoa and Burnsville, North Carolina. So those are about 2.5 hours from where I live, but they're pretty deep in the mountains, and we're hit pretty hard.
And you haven't seen a FEMA tent, a FEMA truck? You haven't seen the letters FEMA on anything?
No. Mm-mm. No. I've seen a lot of the National Guard. That
doesn't help. The National Guard's not there to... I mean, what is the National Guard there to do? Let me rephrase it to be objective.
Well, from what I've seen them doing is clearing debris.
Right.
And trying to reach those people who have been unreachable. So they're on ATVs and they're delivering stuff to remote areas where the roads are still impassable.
It's a different type of relief. I mean, that's more like... Yeah. I feel like that's more related to infrastructure. Like you said, like, let's clear a road. FEMA is supposed to be there to manage the response to get people's lives back in order, right?
Yeah. There is supposed to be a massive FEMA headquarters somewhere. I just haven't come up on it, but
you should go track that sucker down.
Yeah.
Well, look, that's why I keep, like, I am just one of these people that I need to see with my own eyes, or I need to get close. And I find it just really, really sad that not only has this response going on as long, and nothing's going to happen overnight, I get it, but the response has been anemic. Right? Would that be fair to say?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can say, I know what I want to say, but I'm trying to be polite. Okay. From my understanding, it's been generally a non-response, and beyond that, because of the nature of the election season, and I don't even know how relevant it is, but we're not hearing about it on the news. It's all forgotten. Now, maybe if it wasn't an election season, they'd find some time to talk about it, but I'm cynical. I still think it would be forgotten. It's only a pressing story when you can fearmonger.
Yeah. I'm just interested to see what will happen after the election.
Well, that's the other question.
What's going to happen in
are
Western North Carolina once all this hubbub is done with it, and we have a new situation going on. What are they going to do?
Well, but how much is a new situation on either side of the coin really going to affect what's going on with you all? It sounds like it doesn't really matter.
Something's got to change, though. I mean, they are really suffering. These people are really suffering. Like, we can see the exhaustion on their faces when they come through and we say, what do you need? And they're like, I don't even know. I'm so tired. I can't even think straight. I'm still in shock. I'm trying to find my family's photo albums. I'm trying to find a fork. I mean, it's
crazy.
It is. It's just unimaginable.
Now, are these folks thinking about voting?
No. Mm-mm.
Not even. It's not even relevant to life right now. I mean, it's survival mode.
No. Yes. And they're in shock. Emotionally, they're not well. Mentally, they're not well. They're, yeah.
Do you think, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to ask questions because I have so many, but do you feel, I'll ask you, that way we're not theorizing. Do you feel like y'all have been forgotten?
In a way, yes. Not by people, not by the general public. But there's got to be something bigger out there that could be done that's not being done.
But do you feel like your local government has failed you?
Somewhat, because I don't see anything from that either. I don't see any good coming out of anything locally.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. I mean, like, in other words, the impact isn't statewide. So where's the response from the rest of the state?
Yeah. I don't know.
Do you see one?
No. Mm-mm.
So all of these centers that you're privy to, all of this outreach, all of the help, it's all coming from individuals and non-government groups.
Yes, nonprofits and just civilians.
But like there's no government funded operations on the ground that you have seen.
Not that I have seen.
I don't understand that.
Maybe I'm just not in the right place.
Well, and that's why, it goes back to your one post comment, Keena, right? So it still falls under the category of it's anecdotal.
Yeah.
Okay. But you to go back to the FEMA point, you've driven all over and you haven't seen any FEMA representation. It should be somewhere.
Right.
So what's next?
Well, the here and now is that my driveway's full of backpacks and school supplies and snacks. So this week we're focusing on the school-age children because they're starting to go back to school. They have means to feed the kids at school, so that's good. I'm not sure how that's happening. I think churches and groups and whatnot are coming in. So we are going back to Burnsville and Swannanoa today to distribute the backpacks. We were able to get 35 backpacks, and they are packed full.
And it's amazing. And you were telling me that you think on average, and it depends on what you're buying, but a carload for you is probably averages out to about $750.
Yeah.
Depending on anywhere from 5 to 1,000, we averaged it out, depending on what you're putting in there.
Right. So I can fit about $750 or $800 in my car, and that is packed.
So we got to just start what I think we need to do between now and the next big push, and I don't see us doing like a big push like it wasn't planned, right? So there's no
Right.
roadmap here. But the holidays are coming up. So if people want to contribute, we should keep reminding them that they can. That email address is still there. You can go to the Discord and get it. You can message Keena. I'm not just going to put it out there like that, Keena, right now, just because it's not like we started a GoFundMe. It's very community driven, but let's raise that next carload. Let's get that next 750 and just, we'll get you a carload at a time right now. And then we'll do another big push after the holidays, because it sounds to me like there's no end in sight, unfortunately.
No, it's going to be long term, and the needs change every week. So every weekend that we go, we hear about something brand new. So the needs change sometimes daily. Like this week, it's changed a couple times. So it's just, it is overwhelming even to me, and I'm not living in it.
No, I get it, and I commend you for what you're doing. It's a lot to deal with. It's emotional. It's a lot to manage and organize. I don't know if this is exactly what you signed up for, but I think it's amazing what you're doing, and I want to thank you for doing it. Particularly for me, as someone who often feels helpless in these situations. Knowing you, and being able to help through you, it feels good. It feels good to be able to help when you know there's so many in need, and you're not sure where you can plug in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and I'm going to keep going back as long as I have support and a means and a reason to go. I'm going to keep going because they need all the help they can get, and it's going to be slow.
Well, and we're going to keep backing you, so.
Okay.
All right.
And I appreciate it so much. It's wonderful. I'm amazed at everybody.
Well.
And thank you for even coming up with it. I was kind of in limbo too. What can I do? I'm just sitting at home and, donating money. We've done that as a family, but it's just not the same.
Well, I think what struck me was that you put this comment in. I mean, any time to post in Discord is a random time, right? Just the nature of the platform. But you put this comment in weeks and weeks later, and it just felt like such that you could feel the need in the comment and the despair in the comment. And, I made the joke messaging you because I didn't see it till the next morning. Like, what are thoughts and prayers going to do? Like, let's get some action. But I, for one, wish I could have done something to help up until that point. And then to see you say that and to see, like, wow, like she's saying this weeks later. She doesn't even know what necessarily she's asking for at this. In other words, it's the despair. And so just to be able to respond to that, and then to be able to have such an amazing community that immediately got that and latched onto that, and we had some fun with it. And it just, I think we did all of that by noon without even me going live. I think we did all of that just from the Discord.
Yeah, I know. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And Walmart and Target have been just absolutely wonderful. If we clean out their clearance shelves and we ask them if they have more, they go and look to see if they have more in the back. And
tell them to donate stuff.
So patient. The cashiers are so patient, and the people in line behind us are so patient. We had 3 buggies on one trip, and it's just, everybody just, they've been great at Walmart and Target. So that is the ticket right there. Walmart is probably a little bit better than Target, but we got a lot of stuff on clearance at Target, so we've been able to be thrifty. And I've got all the receipts and everything. So it's just been amazing to see it all come together and get in the hands of the people that need it.
Love it. Well, thank you, Keena. We're going to let you go. We're going to wrap this thing up, and I will talk to you soon. Newsletter's
Hey,
looking
bye,
good. I know
Kenzie.
that comes out. So
Yep.
Thanks, Keena.
All right. See y'all soon.
bye.
Bye.
Amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I was actually just, looking on Google because, to your point, we haven't heard a lot from the media on it. And the last thing posted by like a major news source was NPR a week ago. Other than that, like CNN 4 weeks ago and AP News a month ago. And like, it's just mind blowing how much the election has clouded this horrible tragedy.
Well, and you just think about how much money these media companies are making off of the election, So
Yeah.
the priorities are out of whack.
Right.
It's one of the things that frustrates me. We live in this podcast culture now. Like, you scroll and there's so many talking heads. And it's interesting to see during this election cycle how the candidates have had to play to the podcast media.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
But it speaks to how fragmented we are, right? Like, the internet has made it so there's a place for everyone. If you're, whatever your niche is, there's a place for you, right? Like, that's what the internet's done. But it's also now giving everybody a voice. So now everybody who can identify a plight, whatever that plight may be, feels as though they need representation. Right?
Right.
And the internet gives everybody, in theory, a level playing ground. In theory, you could tell me I'm wrong, and you might be right. Because I could argue that for you. But it's such a double-edged sword, because as much as it like gives everybody a place to be, that is the very thing that I think pulls us apart further, because now everybody's got a place to be, so they don't want to be where everybody else is, and that keeps people in their little divides, their little corners,
Yeah, there's so many variables.
The internet's just a weird thing. I mean, you think about how much information we have at our fingertips and how we are less intelligent than ever. Because it's too much
AI
information.
is terrifying to me.
Oh,
yeah.
AI is ridiculous. Have you ever played with AI?
I have. It's funny because I use it for work sometimes, to like create, I don't know, like an email or like a summary of something. But we had an email come out from one of our directors to the whole company, and they said, we think AI is a wonderful tool. However, we are strongly advising against people using it for clinical purposes, because like it might come in handy at some point, but we don't know how to use it. Like,
No.
Please tell me you're not going to use AI to diagnose a patient. Like, please.
No, AI is
tell
not
me
that good. Listen, I had a whole argument with ChatGPT. Okay, I published it on my Twitter a while ago. No, because I asked ChatGPT. We were discussing who the next CEO of Disney should be, and ChatGPT suggested a Google executive, a former Google executive, but she was dead. And I said to ChatGPT, I said, isn't she dead? And they were like, no. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure she's dead. And ChatGPT was like, hold on, let me check further. And then ChatGPT, after the third time, came back and was like, upon further looking, it appears that she passed away on this date. And I'm like, okay, so how smart are you really that I had to push back 3 times?
Oh, no. That's so concerning.
Yeah, it's on my Twitter. That should have 1 million views, and it doesn't. Like, I'm like, no, you're wrong.
And you never thought that you were going to have to question a robot.
But that's what I'm saying. It's only as intelligent as the source material, right? And only until I forced it to look outside of whatever box of information it was utilizing, then it found it. So all this information is dumbing us down.
Do you ever watch Black Mirror?
Not really.
It's like scary, realistic things that could happen in our future. And I just feel like AI comes up in some of these episodes that you watch, but you're just like, God, that's terrifying. But like, I know it could happen at any point.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
that's like so vague, but you should watch it.
No, it's absolutely terrifying. And I don't know, Disney just announced some major AI initiative that they're going to be using on the back end. It's not consumer facing. It sounds like it's more infrastructure or management.
Yeah.
That's problematic too. So
Right.
like the thought of you using AI to generate an email makes me cringe. Like, what is the AI going to say in the email that you couldn't have come up with?
I think it's obviously not specific to the work that I do, but when it comes to some of like the grammatical like pieces and format and stuff, like when your brain's just not functioning, you're like,
Yeah, okay.
I just need somebody to write up this.
So you're using AI to sound smarter, is what you're saying. Like,
yes,
like,
it's my little dictionary.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'll mess around. I've messed around with image generation. I'm kind of fascinated to see what it does. CapCut has AI product generation. I've played around with that in the last few weeks. I just like to see what but it's only as good as the source material. So remember that.
And I have to imagine, yeah, exactly. And I have to wonder, like, if like teachers are running into this problem with kids and like their papers and their homework assignments.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, it's a different version of the same old problem, right? Because, I mean, it's no different than going online and getting somebody else to do your homework for you.
Yeah, but I mean, like, hey, write me a book report on the Odyssey or whatever.
Listen, I had a teacher. It was, I think it was social studies or something. So all the homework was like written stuff, And all he would do was walk around. You'd open up your notebook. And he'd look and he'd see the date in the top corner and he'd be like, all right, you did it. So I caught on. So I just stopped. I just started changing the dates on old homework. And he wouldn't even notice, like, if there was 4 questions, but there was only like, there was 5 on the page, but it was only 4-question homework. He wasn't even looking enough to realize that, like, the numbers weren't lining up, So we've been doing these things.
He just gave up as a teacher.
Yeah, he was just like, oh, I see, September 1st. Yeah, perfect.
That's like my honors chemistry teacher in high school. Like, we were taking quizzes on like Fridays, and then Monday there was like a table in the back that had the answers, and we would all go back and like have to grade ourselves based on like the answer sheet, but everybody would just change their answers. Like,
I
remember, he had no idea. I mean, I'm sure he had an idea, but he just didn't care.
I remember watching this kid. We were taking the SATs. I remember his name, too. I'm not going to say it. But he pulled a dictionary off I don't know if it was a dictionary or an encyclopedia. Either way, it doesn't matter. We're taking the SATs, and I think it was a dictionary, but like a big one. And he pulled it off the counter, and he put it on his lap. And I'm like, what are you cheating on? Like, what is the dictionary? Like, is it a word you don't understand? Like you're just going to get caught for having an open book on your lap. Like, there's nothing. And if it's an encyclopedia, you have less of a chance of getting help. Like what is like?
He's
what,
like, I'll take anything at this point.
Like, if I could just understand what any of these words mean, if I could look up anything right now, like, is that because like how is that helping? What?
I'd like to know what he's up to these days.
Right, like okay, let's just say that. Yeah, I can only imagine. Let's just say that he had to look up a word. Wouldn't you just move on to the next question? Why would you risk? I think he just wanted to be cool in front of everybody else in the room and look like a rebel.
Right.
Whatever.
I'm also laughing at the fact that you had to write your papers on paper.
What, my SATs?
No, you said with the, when you would write a paper and all you had to do was like change the date in the corner.
Well, it was homework. I would do homework in a notebook, not on a computer. We didn't, Kensie, when I was in middle school, we didn't have computers.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, like on paper.
I'll leave you with this story. All right. Because I was in middle school during the transition from DOS to Windows, more or less. Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Windows had been around, but Windows was really coming into its own. Probably was around Windows 3 when I was in the 8th grade. All right. Because we were still using DOS in computer class, and the teacher had built his own
What's
little
DOS?
Director of Operating Services. It's a pre-Windows, so you just type in a prompt. It's like the terminal prompt on your computer.
Okay.
So it's DOS prompt. So you would just type in, like, if you wanted to change directories in DOS, you'd do like cd ... You know, you'd have to type out the code. There was no graphic user interface. The graphic user interface, Kensie, was an innovation. The mouse was an innovation. The mouse was stolen from Xerox, actually. Xerox R&D developed the mouse, didn't know what to do with it. And Steve Jobs took a look at it, stole it, and then showed it to Bill Gates. And Bill Gates stole the idea of the GUI from him, and he beat him to the market on it. It's fascinating if you really look at the history of all that. But anyway, so notebook, 8th grade, homework, you know, that was the deal. But I'll leave you with this story. So we had a computer class across from the library. The library had Windows. The computer class was still using DOS. And we were PowerPoint 2.0, whatever was going on. We were learning all these new things that were coming out. Like, because it was a big deal. I don't even know if it was PowerPoint, whatever it was. Whatever software was coming out at the time. It was all a big deal because these were new ways to, like, do your work, right? Like, you could type up. And I remember my dad would be like, no, you don't do a rough draft on the computer. You write it out first and you type it up when you're done. Like, that was the transition to the computer, you know? You didn't when computers came out, when word processors were coming out, the idea wasn't that you just start there. The idea was you do it the old-fashioned way, then you translate it, right? So anyway, so it was a new era. I'm old. And I don't know how I discovered what networking was, but I discovered that all the printers in the library existed on a network. So you were able to, like, go to the library, type up your paper, and print it right there and hand it in. So I decided it would be really, really funny to reroute all of the computers in the library to print at the computer teacher's desk across the hall in his room.
Oh, gosh.
And I got banned from the library. I'm like, why? Wouldn't you be like, oh, wow, this kid taught himself, like, light networking. Like, maybe you should join the networking club, or maybe you should, like, come over here and, like, we'll, use that knowledge for good. But they banned me from the library. He was pissed because it was like all these kids
with their ebb and flow.
All of these kids were, like, in the lab in the library after school typing up their papers, because this is what you did, right? Like, you typed up your paper, and it'd be like, remember, when you type it up, it's going to be less pages, and don't try to cheat by double spacing it. So all of these kids are printing their papers after school, and they're just flooding, and he's there at his desk grading papers or whatever, and his printer's just flying, man. And he's like, what is going on? And he comes out, and I'm cracking. I'm not even hiding it. I'm just sitting there laughing. And he.
Yeah, you're like, look what I did.
Yeah. I was so proud of myself. Anyway.
Well, you tried.
I leave you with that story, only to say that I've always been a menace.
All right.
I wish this next generation actually knew how things worked. I think it's kind of sad now that we use terms like hack and stuff for things that are, like, modular. Like, we live in a culture now where our language is disconnected from reality. So most kids wouldn't even know how to reboot an internet router, let alone change a tire on a car. And and then
absolutely.
Even if they don't know how to do it, right? There's a group of them that will never learn how to do it. There are some that will be smart enough to go to YouTube and watch a video and figure it out and move on. Right? But there's those that won't even then further use that as a resource. They won't even look things up.
They're going to use ChatGPT.
Well, think about how many times people come into the live when I'm live at the park and ask questions that they could easily look up and get better.
Oh, yeah, just Google it.
Yeah, but you're asking me what the weather's going to be like next Tuesday. Why don't you go to weather.com? They have a lot more resources backing that answer than I do. I'm just going to lick my finger and stick it in the air and give you an answer.
That's the funny part about all this is they're expecting you to have an answer on the spot. You're like, oh, actually, I studied the weather last night for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I can tell you
well,
on
so,
Thursday.
So the truth is, it's not the answer they're looking for. They want the attention.
Right. They want just a response.
And they can't think of anything better to ask. And just saying, oh my God, I'm going to be there next Tuesday isn't good enough. But if I ask you what the weather is going to be like, maybe I'll get an engagement, right? They can't come up with anything better. Now a savvy commenter would be like, oh my God, I'm going to be there next Tuesday. Do you know if they have the Halloween bucket still? Right?
Yeah.
But most people, oh, is it busy? Is it going to be cold?
I laugh when people are like, are you going to be at Magic Kingdom 4 months and 6 days from now?
Now, I don't know if you've caught on. I love that too. I don't know if you caught on, but lately, like prior to this break or whatever, and by the way, somebody commented on one of my videos the other day, where has he been? And someone wrote MIA. And I'm like, you're commenting on a video I just posted. I'm not MIA. I'm not MIA. The problem is you.
Yeah, I'm right here.
I'm literally right here. I'm not where you expect me to be, but more times than not, people are not where we expect them to be in life. Why is it different with you and me? The parasocial relationship is real. I lost my train of thought. Your job is to get me back on track. What was I saying?
Yeah.
Oh.
We were talking about, when people ask you, where are you going to be like 4 months from now?
Oh, right. Good job, Kensie. Wow. That took like all
there.
She's going to need to take a nap after this. That took all of her morning Saturday energy between that and the technology.
I spent most of my morning dedicating my energy to setting up for Christmas.
Good for you. I just started answering no. That's all I was going to say. Like the last couple weeks of streaming, I would just say no. People would be like, are you going to be in the Magic Kingdom later? No. Do you think you'll be streaming tomorrow? No. Will you be in the Magic Kingdom next Thursday at 2:30 p.m.? No. Like whatever. I just started saying no to everything.
I mean, I don't think it's going to get people to stop.
No, but it just
ends the question.
Yeah, there's no follow-up. Are you going to be at the Magic Kingdom next Thursday at 3:15 p.m.? Yes. Will you be at the Starbucks? No. Like it doesn't end. And people, this is the way people are, and it's never enough. I really, Kensie, the kind of messages I get from people, I brought this up before, but there's a certain type of person that messages me to this day, and I'm talking about multiple people on multiple platforms. So if any of you wackos are listening to me right now, I'm not talking about you, okay? But they'll say things like non sequitur, and now I want to give you an example, but the example I am going to give would immediately blow up this guy's spot. It's a guy, okay? But I'll get random messages from people. I'll make one up. I just did laundry for the first time. Imagine Ellis messaging me, I just did laundry for the first time. Now, if it's Ellis, it's a little different because he messages me when he wakes up. I mean, but... Yeah,
and we love Ellis.
Right, but okay, so forget Ellis, bad example. But, just imagine just, a random viewer being like, hey, I went to the dentist today. Here's a picture of me in the chair. What?
Stop.
I don't need that.
That doesn't happen.
It does. I changed the location. Do you want me to? Yeah. No, I've had people be like, yeah, here's a picture of me and the other one. I'm trying not to blow up any one person's spot, but yes, I get all sorts of weird. So part of it then becomes like, what? I got to get out of this.
Yeah.
You know?
It's funny because I feel like
it's like having a retail storefront to the world.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that, like, they have access into your eyes and, you know, what you're seeing with the live stream, but, like, it's not reciprocated. You don't know what's going on in everybody else's life.
Right, and then they think that you're talking to them.
Right.
No, you're laughing, and so then, you know, and then here's the other thing that's interesting, and we'll end with this. This is a fascinating thing, and this is always good to bury something like this at the end of a podcast. But people will be like, "Oh, I really like Royce. He's not just a content creator; he's a friend." Okay.
Well, that's nice.
It's very sweet sentiment. It's a very sweet sentiment. Yeah. But where is that line? Because the idea of, oh, he's a friend, so if I go to the park, he's going to want to hang out with me. He's going to want to run around. In other words, like, I'm a friend to the viewer, and I am friendly with the viewers, but you wouldn't, and there's no other relationship where that would be normalized. If I told you that I listen to Howard Stern on the radio, he's a good friend. He's a friend. I like Sean Hannity. He's a friend. Anderson Cooper's my bro.
I love Anderson Cooper.
I love Anderson Cooper, but that's not the point. He's not my friend.
Right. No, it's like when people say that about, like, coworkers, you know, sometimes, like, yeah, you can become really close with coworkers, but, like, other times, you know, you enjoy them at work, sure, but, like, are you going to call them up on the weekend to hang out? No.
Right. No. Well, like, I like you in the context of the fact that I'm forced to work with you, but I don't want you in my house.
Right.
So, no, it's a sweet sentiment, but the point is, it's not a sentiment for some. For some people, it's very literal, right? And then what happens is people feel like they need to know everything. You know, and obviously I'm personalizing it, but look at the world we live in. Look at the celebrity culture. I mean, look at Taylor Swift is such a great example. I mean, the way that I see people obsessing over everything that goes on with her and that relationship she's in. I mean, oh my gosh.
It's crazy.
Right, but like, get a life. Get your own relationship to analyze. People just obsess over everything that other people have going on. And you hit the nail on the head. It's a one-way street, though. I let people in. I don't get to see. So there's no context for me.
Right.
You telling me. Look, if I went live right now, I'd have 100 things to tell people. People would have all these questions. Where have you been? Right? And then I'll just do the thing where I'll be like, hey, I'm good. How are you? And then people will be like, I'm great. I did this, and this. Well, if 600 people all tell me what they've been up to, I can't read all that.
Yeah.
It's really a one-way street. The interactive nature of it all is lovely, but at the end of the day, I don't know what you're up to. You messaging me and telling me that you forgot the fabric softener? I don't need to know. That's a reference to an 80s commercial. You're not going to get it, Kensie.
No, I'm really not. I will say, though, like, you know, it is kind of odd, but, you know, at least it's with good intent, right?
Yeah, but I don't want to let people down, right? Like in other words,
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's hard to balance this, like, boundary, because it's like, you know, you want people to understand where the line is, but how do you say that without, like, hurting someone's feelings or offending them? Because, you know, they just want to be friendly.
No, and I get it. But what I'm saying is, like, it's a double.
I get what you're saying. There's a line.
But there's a double-edged sword, right? Because, like, if you're good at what you do, right? If you're good at communicating, then yeah, people are going to feel connected, right? And because it's not straight radio, where the only way to really have a conversation is to pick up the phone and call in and try to, you know, you can comment. So now I'm commenting to you. And if I say your name 10 times in the day, you feel like you have this relationship. But you in the chat is not you in real life. The you in the chat that I have built up in my head, the character, is not you in real life.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, how else would you know, right?
Well, no, but you wouldn't.
You know, you can pick up the phone, but yeah, exactly.
Right, but that's the whole point.
I feel like, no, go ahead.
No, please.
I was just going to say, I mean, this is, I feel like a good opportunity to plug what we're going to be adding to the podcast.
Oh, the questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great. The newsletter's going out. I'll put it out on Twitter and Discord, or not Twitter, Instagram. But yeah, we'll take your questions. I want to do calls at some point, but the idea of taking written questions is just as good for now. And then we can do a live podcast and take calls at some point. No, I'm all for it. I just, all I'm getting at is the interactive nature of all of these things, the social media of it all. Let's just pull it all back to social, because we even a podcast in many ways and a live stream, it's all social media, right? It's all social media, okay? It's given everybody a voice. It goes right back to what I said at the beginning of this rant. It's given everybody a voice. So some people feel like they're not being heard because they're being drowned out, not because they're not being heard. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah,
some people are only being heard because they're louder. And I think what's really, really dangerous about all of this social media stuff is that it keeps you very, very isolated. You start to get fed only the things that interest you. You only start to get fed the things that you engage with. And it becomes harder and harder to see other people's perspectives. And it becomes harder and harder for people to realize that you don't need to agree with other people in order to see their perspective. There are a lot of people's opinions out there that I do not agree with, but I understand how they're arriving at them or why they feel the way they feel. And I just think that having all this information at our fingertips, it's great if you utilize it right. But if you're just going to take Chat GPT's recommendation for the future CEO of Disney at its first response, you might wind up with a dead CEO. Okay? This has been Under the Influence. Kensie, thank you so much. I'll see you next week.
Thanks. See ya.
Finish your thought.
Oh, gosh, I'm sorry.
I'm not editing this out. So, you messed up the beginning of the show, messed up the end of the show. What are you going to say?
Oh, my gosh, full circle. No, I was going to say I'm looking forward to seeing what questions people have. Submit them in the newsletter as it comes out, and we'll see you guys next week.
We'll see you next week. Thanks, Kens.